Imagine you're constantly chasing something, right? Something you can never quite catch. You always feel maybe a step behind, a little drained, perhaps a little empty even. What if I told you the secret to a richer, more fulfilling life isn't really about gaining more, but maybe about embracing less?
That's a powerful thought. And, for centuries across so many different cultures, there's been this reverence for a state of unconditional wholeness.
Wholeness.
Yeah, like a deep, abiding peace. And it's found not in external achievements or lots of possessions, but it's cultivated from within. It's subtle, maybe, but it's an incredibly profound shift, moving away from those fleeting highs of happiness toward the lasting calm of contentment.
And that profound shift, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're exploring the joy of simple living, finding happiness and contentment in less.
We've gathered some really fascinating insights for this journey, from ideas about slow living and making intentional choices to understanding mindful consumption and even hearing from people about their own real-world experiences. Yeah, and our mission really is to unpack how a simpler way of living can actually transform your health, your mental well-being, your spirit, guiding you towards, a more profound sense of joy and that lasting contentment. We want to explore the core ideas and, crucially, offer practical ways you can start bringing these concepts into your own daily life.
Okay, so let's unpack that phrase, simple living. When you hear it, what comes to mind first? For a lot of people, I think it's just throwing out old stuff, decluttering.
Right, or maybe going off-grid completely.
Exactly, becoming some kind of, strict minimalist. Is that what it's really about?
Well, what we found is that simple living is much less about rigid rules or a specific look, like you see online. It's far more about a deep internal shift.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about becoming super disciplined and just like eliminating everything. Instead, it's about embracing life gently, slowly, internally. It's really about figuring out what truly adds value and joy to your life, what deeply resonates, and then once you have that clarity, you can let the rest go. The key word here, the real heart of it, is contentment.
Okay, so it's not just passively floating along, living day by day, and just hoping for the best, letting life just sort of happen to you.
Exactly right. That kind of driftless approach, that's a pretty basic understanding. True simple living, as both ancient wisdom and modern psychology point out, is also an intentional life.
Intentional.
Yes. It means being in the captain's chair of your own life, consciously looking at the why behind what you do, or even what you don't do.
Being intentional. Okay, that sounds powerful, but maybe also a bit daunting. Like, where do you even start with that? Is there a framework?
There is, actually, and it's surprisingly straightforward. It kind of boils down to two key steps. First, define your values. What's genuinely important to you, not what society dictates or what your neighbors are up to, but what really resonates personally deep down. Maybe it's prioritizing a healthy body or financial responsibility or having a limited environmental impact, things like that. Once you define these core values, it gives you a kind of narrative, a filter for making decisions.
Right, like your own personal compass. And once you have those values clear, what's the next step? How do you put it into action?
Well, the second step is to take action intentionally. This just means actively filtering your everyday decisions through those values you've defined. The more intentionally you act, the more your life naturally starts to align with what you aspire to be. And this isn't a one-off thing. It builds momentum. It compounds over time. You build habits that make it easier.
Can you give an example?
Sure. So if a healthy body is a core value, intentional actions might be setting your alarm for that morning workout, even when you don't feel like it, or consciously deciding to skip the sugary snacks at the office most days. Or if financial responsibility is key, it might mean creating a monthly budget that actually reflects your priorities. Or maybe consistently putting money into an emergency fund. It's about that deliberate connection between what you say you value and how you actually live.
Something that really struck me was how this challenges our whole idea of happiness.
Yeah.
We tend to chase it like it's some kind of prize out there.
Yeah.
But it sounds like maybe we're looking in totally the wrong place.
You've really hit on something crucial there. Many cultures, especially in places like the Himalayas, have this deep reverence for contentment. They even have a word for it. Chokshay.
Chokshay.
Yeah, it means the knowledge of enough. And this is fundamentally different from what we often call happiness. Happiness is frequently tied to what you could call the more strategy.
The more strategy.
Always seeking more money, more power, more stuff, more validation from others. And sure, getting a temporary boost from those external things feels nice for a bit.
For a moment, yeah.
But it's just not sustainable. As soon as you get that hit, that happiness starts to fade, and then you find yourself needing another one. It's exhausting. And it costs a lot of time, energy, resources.
So contentment, it's deeper, more lasting, because it doesn't depend on getting those external hits.
Precisely. Think about the root of the word contentment, contentus in Latin. It means held together or intact, whole.
Huh.
Interesting. It was originally used for things like cups or barrels, meaning they were full, complete.
Yeah.
So when you apply it to a person, the question becomes, how whole do you feel inside? How complete are you? And this is key. Unlike so many other emotions that react to what's happening outside us, contentment is sourced entirely from within.
Entirely.
Entirely. That gives it incredible power and stability. It lets you feel whole and complete even when things around you are chaotic or difficult. You can actually feel content alongside sadness or anger.
Really? How does that work?
Well, it's not about pushing those difficult emotions away. It's about accepting them as, temporary parts of being human without letting them undermine your fundamental sense of wholeness.
Wow, that sounds incredibly resilient. But what happens when we don't live with that kind of intention? When we get caught in that trap of chasing more or letting external stuff dictate how we feel?
Well, that's where mindless consumption often creeps in.
Mindless consumption.
Yeah, like eating, scrolling social media, or shopping without any real intention. Often it's just an emotional reaction or an unchecked habit. And the research consistently shows this leads to mental fatigue, feelings of emptiness, and definitely more stress.
I can relate to the scrolling part.
Oh, absolutely. Take unregulated media use, especially social media. It directly feeds anxiety and information overload. Not just because of the sheer volume, but because these platforms are often designed quite deliberately to make us compare ourselves and feel inadequate. They chip away at our sense of having enough.
Yeah, that endless scroll. It doesn't just get boring. Sometimes it feels actively draining.
It really is draining. And it goes beyond just media. Think about food. There's been this huge shift away from whole foods towards highly processed stuff, high in fat, high in sugar. And that's now clearly linked to things like mood swings, fatigue, even depression.
Right.
And then there's materialism, equating happiness with buying more things. It gives you a quick temporary satisfaction maybe, but it's almost always followed by that feeling of emptiness again. There's a great line I came across, experiences are worth more than trinkets.
Oh, I like that. Experiences are worth more than trinkets.
Yeah, it really captures that difference, doesn't it, between fleeting external highs and lasting inner fulfillment.
Okay, so this is all fascinating, but what does it mean for our actual daily lives?
Yeah.
How can someone listening right now start living more simply and finding this lasting contentment? It sounds like it shouldn't be complicated, but maybe it feels like a big shift to make.
Well, the beauty of it is that the strategies themselves are often surprisingly simple. They don't require fancy equipment or anything, and they can bring huge benefits for relatively little cost.
Yeah.
They just need a bit of intentional time and, consistent effort.
Okay, so where do we start? Mind, body.
Let's start there, yeah. Mind, body, and spirit. First off, practice mindfulness. And this isn't just about calming down in the moment. Consistent mindfulness has actually been shown to physically rewire neural pathways in your brain.
Really?
Rewire your brain.
Yeah. It can reduce your brain's dependence on those external rewards and build a more resilient inner calm. You start to feel less needy somehow, more inherently resourced. You just feel a bit more okay right now without needing something outside yourself to make you feel that way.
That's incredible, a physical change. What about digging into our beliefs?
Yeah.
Like those things we think we need to be happy.
That's a great point. The next step could be to identify your well-being contingencies.
My what? Your well-being contingencies. Those external factors you believe are absolutely required for you to feel complete, like I'll finally be happy when I earn X amount, or I'll feel good about myself when I get that promotion.
Oh, okay. Those if-only statements.
Exactly. They create these dependencies on things outside your control, and they reinforce the idea that self-worth has to wait for something external to happen. The practice here is realizing you can be okay right now without waiting for those conditions to be met. It's about recognizing your inherent worth, just as you are.
That feels like a really profound shift in perspective, moving from conditional happiness to unconditional wholeness, like you said earlier.
It absolutely is. And another strategy that supports this is to radically accept all emotions.
Radically accept. Even the bad ones.
Especially the difficult ones. Understand that all emotions are temporary, like waves. Instead of desperately clinging to the good ones or pushing away the bad ones, just allow all feelings to come and go. That acceptance, rather than fighting against them, is actually a cornerstone of contentment.
Okay, acceptance. Makes sense. What about simple everyday habits?
Definitely. Slow down your meals. The whole slow movement actually started with food, and for good reason. Enjoy the process of cooking if you can. Savor the flavors. Eat with others when possible. Make it an enjoyable, mindful part of your day, not just fuel on the run.
I'm picturing those long, lovely lunches you see in Europe, truly savoring it. Any other simple habits like that, things that ground us?
Yes. And one that's often overlooked but so powerful is just take a walk in nature.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
Even a short walk in a park or anywhere green can significantly calm your nervous system, relieve stress, spark creativity. It actually triggers the release of happy hormones like serotonin. It's an amazing tool when your mind is just racing or you feel totally overwhelmed.
Okay, I need to do that more often.
We all probably do. Also, critically important at our age, create technology-free times or spaces. You don't have to become a Luddite, but regular, intentional breaks from screens are vital.
Like a digital detox zone.
Exactly. Maybe designate the bedroom as a tech-free zone. Or set aside a specific time, perhaps between finishing work and having dinner, to just disconnect and reconnect.
Yeah.
With family, friends, pets, or maybe just read a book, do some exercise.
Reconnect.
Yeah, and that leads to the next point. Make time for loved ones. It's important to balance that solo time and self-care with meaningful interaction with the people you genuinely care about. Connection is key.
These are fantastic for our inner world, our mindset. But what about the physical stuff, our environment, our finances? That's where a lot of the clutter and honestly, a lot of the stress often lives.
Absolutely crucial. And decluttering is such a powerful first step there. It really does free up not just physical space, but mental space too.
Where do you even begin, though? It can feel overwhelming.
Start small, like really small. A kitchen counter, a single shelf, clear everything off it. Then only put back what you truly love and actually use. Ask yourself that simple question. Do I love this? Do I use this? If the answer is no to both, maybe it's time for it to go.
Okay, love it and use it.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Visual clutter can subconsciously increase cortisol levels, our stress hormone. So there's a direct link between physical mess and mental stress. Someone shared that after doing a major declutter, they honestly couldn't remember or miss a single thing they got rid of.
Wow.
It's amazing how much background noise that clutter creates in our minds.
That makes total sense. Start small. But what about the emotional side? Being attached to stuff or worrying you'll regret getting rid of something later.
That's a really common hurdle. And that's where that internal shift, being clear on your values, really helps. When you know what truly matters, the decision to let go feels less like loss and more like aligning your space with your life. That fear of regret, it often fades when you experience the mental and emotional freedom that comes from having less.
Okay, freedom over fear. I like that. What about money? Finances are a huge source of stress.
Huge. So it's vital to address spending habits. Really try to understand the psychological triggers that lead to overspending. One person shared a great tip. They started thinking about the cost of items, not just in dollars, but in hours of their life. They had to work to earn that money.
Oh, wow. That shifts perspective.
Doesn't it? Suddenly that $5 coffee isn't just $5, it's maybe 15 or 20 minutes of your valuable work time. This mindset really helps you save for experiences, not trinkets, which ties right back into intentional living. And finally, related to all this, don't keep up with the Joneses. So many people realize they don't actually need to meet societal expectations or match what others have. Letting go of that comparison brings significantly less stress and less debt. It's about building a life you don't constantly feel the need to escape from.
It really sounds like this isn't some kind of rigid formula then. It's much more of a personal journey, isn't it? Like slowly uncovering what truly matters just to you.
It is. Absolutely. Simple living is deeply personal. You don't have to, blow up your entire life overnight. Start small. Make considered changes that actually work for you, for your unique situation. Sometimes life itself kind of pushes us in this direction. Things like chronic illness or maybe periods of financial difficulty. They could force an appreciation for, as one person put it, the very, 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 very little things. Often when those external comforts are stripped away, you're left with the basics. And it fosters this deep gratitude for just having a roof over your head, food on the table.
And it seems like it brings those two sides together beautifully, the practical stuff like decluttering and watching your spending, and that deeper philosophical wisdom of finding contentment.
It really does. Ultimately, the discipline of minimalism, that intentional process of reducing and decluttering and the contentment of simple living Finding that deep joy in what truly matters, they really can evolve together, becoming this interconnected whole. It's about realizing that when you make sincere efforts to simplify your outer world, clear out the clutter, reduce financial burdens, it leads, almost inevitably, to this sweet, profound satisfaction with the things that genuinely matter. It's a continuous journey, really, discovering what brings you meaning, purpose, and real fulfillment.
So this deep dive really shows that the joy of simple living isn't about depriving yourself or living in austerity. Not at all. It's about being intentional, being aware, and cultivating that profound sense of contentment right from within yourself. It's about defining what truly matters to you, acting on those values, and mindfully choosing less in order to gain so much more peace, clarity, and genuine fulfillment.
Exactly. So as you reflect on your own life, maybe listening to this, perhaps ask yourself, what's one small intentional choice you can make today? Just one thing to move a little closer to that inner knowledge of enough and discover your own true north of contentment.
A wonderful question to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into simple living and finding happiness in less. We really hope you found some valuable insights here to guide your own journey toward a more contented life. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep thriving.